Welcome to Pluribus for the rest of us. Today we're talking about Pluribus, Season 1, Episode 5, titled Got Milk. Got Milk. It's not a question like the old ad campaign, no question mark. We did our instant take a few days ago, right after the episode, with our raw, immediate reactions. This is our full take, where we go through the entire episode, recap style, and give our full analysis. I'm Gil, here with my brother Daniel. Say hello.
Hello.
And Adam, I'm going to leave it up to you.
Got milk?
I like it. So we kind of already gave our
How dare you say that? That doesn't make sense. I just thought of it on the spot, though. I thought it was a good pun.
We'll explain that at the end of the episode. I got you. Okay, well, we gave our overall thoughts a few days ago right after the episode, but have you guys had any further overall thoughts before we just go into the recap? If you dare,
So you're saying that straw-colored stuff wasn't milk?
Apparently not. And I'm hopeful that in other episodes we'll see what other receptacles they drink this bizarre substance out of. You know, Carol surmised it could be cans, bottles, whatever.
It does kind of remind me of a conspiracy theory called the Loosh theory, Loosh. Have you heard of this? Have you seen this? Have you heard about this? This is the idea that there are like malevolent demonic entities. Potentially, even if there's such a thing as extraterrestrials, it could be that they're ultra-terrestrials, meaning they've been here all along. They're from this Earth, maybe just a different dimension or something. But the idea is they feed on negative energy. And the substance of your negative energy is called loosh. That's like your life force or something, or that's their life force. And so they're like these interdimensional blood-sucking vampires that steal your loosh.
I mean,
so if they make you sad and they feed off of it.
They must take this podcast and just bottle it and guzzle it down.
There's no loosh here. It's all positivity. Well, except for one very negative thing we'll talk about at the end.
Yes, that's
gonna be if you're here to harvest some loosh, just hang out till the end.
And if you want to know why we're doing this so late, yeah, you'll get the answer at the end of this episode. Yeah. So that's a big...
I don't know why we're building it up like it's something exciting. It's very sad.
Okay, so let's up the vibes. Let's go to the hospital. So we start the episode at the hospital. It continues the trend of the camera focusing on something ambiguous at the beginning.
Wait. We got use the screen share.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, if you're watching this, then we have the enhanced edition where you can see screenshots as we talk.
Free of charge.
That's right. That's right. We start out focused on some window shades and realize we're at the hospital.
Let me navigate.
Thanks. Can the navigator please be silent and just, you don't have to say like, oh, I'm changing slides now every time you do that.
Well, I'm hitting the arrow key. I'm going to hit the arrow key again. Great. Let me hit it again.
I assume this is what it sounds like in the Pluribus's head. It's just every human voice simultaneously describing like what the information they're gathering and everything they're seeing. If we zoom out, you see a fellow drinking milk. That's how the episode starts. Believe it or not, we're going to come back to that. See people pushing equipment around, including
So this is called the crash cart. This is a red cart specifically only to be opened during an emergency, like cardiac arrest. And it's funny seeing a little kid pushing it around. Yeah, so this is the cart that they presumably just used on Zosha.
Right after her heart attack. Yeah, if you recall, last episode ended with Carol once again trying to kill Zosha. She just can't take her down. Gave her a heart attack, and it seems that they got her on some tubes, and she's going to be okay. The Hive, as always...
I can probably analyze what kind of tubes are hooked up to her.
All right, why don't you get to the tubes?
Yeah, you keep talking.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
This is another scene of the Hive being silent but working efficiently. We've seen it before. Carol is squeezing what appears to be a mutant stress ball of some kind. The phone rings, and it's everyone's favorite supporting character, Lakshmi. She chastises Carol. I think they added her because people are like, why is Carol so unlikable? And I'm not saying she's unlikable. I'm saying other people are saying that. Okay, just to be clear.
Why are you even saying it, though? Why are you saying... I heard you say...
You're making me cry.
Unlikable.
You made everyone cry.
Yeah.
Yeah, the phone. So I think they added Lakshmi to kind of balance it out and be like, you want unlikable. Here's Lakshmi. She is pretty pissed at Carol for making her son cry. You made everyone cry, and you gave your chaperone a heart attack. What is wrong with you? Carol tries to tell her, listen, I think I found a way to fix things. And Lakshmi essentially hangs up on her.
Lakshmi is in deep denial. Like, as annoying and kind of funny as her character is, realistically, it's kind of sad. She must be in severe denial. Yeah. Look, her son is just sitting there blankly eating ice cream. He doesn't actually want ice cream. Like, all he really needs is the milk. He's deriving no pleasure from this. It's just to make her happy because she's giving it to him.
Right. And we don't know that all he needs is the milk. I guess our theory has been that the milk is human remains that are being harvested for nutrients, and in
along
theory,
with all kinds of other stuff.
Right. And so they can
whatever
drink
they have.
That milk is essentially like Soylent or Huel or all around meal replacement.
Vite ramen.
Right, but they can still eat other things. It's just efficient to use all these. They're trying to be as efficient as possible, but he can still eat ice cream. That's our theory, anyway. After Lakshmi hangs up on her, Carol tells some rando nearby, if she asks for my number again, tell her to pound sand. And the guy totally ignores her. Which we said on the instant take, this kind of gives you your first sense that there's been a shift in mood after Carol's truth serum expedition last episode. It's the first time I think we've seen them just flat out ignore her.
I think their feelings are hurt and they're kind of scared of her.
I think it's more I wonder if their feelings are hurt. Or I guess we don't really have a great understanding of how feelings work for them. Well,
I think it's possible when they say our feelings for you haven't changed. I think that's true. They still, I don't know if love is exactly the right word, but it's the closest thing we have. They love her. They want to convert her because of how good they feel, how good it feels. While at the same time, it's like, we can't trust you. We'll try to satisfy any request you have, but not at any kind of risk to us as a unit.
Yeah, and I think that's definitely the case. I see most of what we witnessed from them this episode as defense mechanism, right? Get away from Carol so she can't yell at one of us and send the entire global population into seizures. But I wonder how their emotions work. Like, obviously, we saw them cry last episode. Do they immediately go back to baseline contentment after that? Or do they actually get in a mood? Like, are they now a little bit upset or disappointed with Carol?
Yeah, like, is this a cold shoulder where it's like, oh, we're mad at you. I'm mad. Or is it more like, I'm answering your questions, but it's dangerous to talk to you anymore?
Right. Yeah, what do you think, Daniel? Is this purely defense mechanism of them ignoring her and kind of being flippant here? Or do you think there's a little bit of like, come on, Carol, how could you do this to us?
I think it's this, like, we can't help but just ascribe, like, human emotions to them, right? Like, when they give her the cold shoulder, like, we've seen that a million times. So to us, it looks like passive aggressiveness, right? But it seems for sure there's defensive element here, right? Which is clearly she can cause them massive harm. So they need to do like what they need to do for self-preservation. In terms of whether they actually feel emotionally hurt or not, I don't know if we have any evidence, like one way or the other. I guess we did see that they cried, but I
so
still don't
the
even
evidence
know.
we have is like the tone. For example, the way that this lady walks away and it's like she's gonna be fine. It's like literal cold shoulder there, but is that just because of how we're used to reading human emotion, or is there actual emotion behind it?
Right, and what Adam's
the crying is a good point that Daniel's making.
Yeah, and what Adam's referring to specifically is the second cold shoulder Carol gets is she asks a lady going by, Zosha's going to be okay, right? And she kind of just says, she's going to be okay, and like walks away. The tone has definitely shifted.
And just to be clear, though, I was actually going to make a different point about the crying, which is we don't know that the crying is genuine or not. Mm-hmm. Like, it definitely can be a manipulation tactic, and I don't think we should forget about that. We don't even know that everyone on the whole world cried. It might have just been the ones around the old schoolers, because they're the ones that need to be manipulated around this whole situation.
Right. Yeah, I had the same thought when they first cried. is that perhaps this is a manipulation tactic. Do they really feel hurt, or are we trying to guilt Carol into stopping this course of action? I would say the counter to that, though, if globally the entire world was crying, that's obviously overkill if you're trying to manipulate Carol. But
I think when it feels like an intense emotion, the whole world feels it. I think it's involuntary.
Yeah.
Or it doesn't have it's like, try to bend only your pinky. Do it on camera.
I can't do it.
Yeah, you can't, Daniel.
I'm afraid Daniel.
Curl it all the way. You're cheating.
Yeah, curl the knuckle. I thought Daniel was going to be able to do it.
So the idea is like, if it's feeling a really intense emotion, or it's like I want to simultaneously make a large group cry at the same time in synchrony. Maybe it doesn't have the fine motor control.
It's all or nothing.
Maybe. Who knows how deliberate that is? Like, well, we don't really know. Like, what kind of does this thing have willpower? It has an imperative.
Yeah.
That was an awful.
Wait, did you hear the sneeze? I thought I muted in time.
No, we got the
heard
beginning.
start
It
of
was
it.
like, and then it went silent.
This keeps
so
happening
funny.
every time we stream. I get like an allergy attack. It must be seeing Daniel.
No.
I'm allergic to handsome men.
There you go. I want to return briefly, Adam, to the point you made of Lakshmi. We laugh and I call her unlikable, but we're kind of Skylaring her there because it's like, does she not have a reason to be a tad upset? Yeah, I think there's a degree of denial, and we talked about this.
I mean, her son is effectively dead.
Right. Well, that's our opinion, right? That's Carol's opinion too. Is that her son is essentially dead,
Yeah, but she can't take it.
She's living with a puppet of the hive. Now, if there's ambiguity there where you don't know what's the correct way to view this, of course you're going to choose the way that preserves the life of your son. And if you're going to use that frame of looking at this, then Carol did make her cry, and Carol did kill her grandfather. So you got to see things from their perspective.
I'm still very curious if we're ever going to learn, like, what is it about Lakshmi? What is it about Carol? What is it about, what's the guy in
Kumba?
Paraguay?
Manusos.
What is it about Manusos and Kumba? What is it about them that makes them immune? Like, probably it's some random gene, but I don't know. That would be like the rarest genetic variant by far in the world. Because like even the most rare diseases that you've ever heard of, still even the ultra rare ones still affect like hundreds of people, if not more.
Yeah, and doesn't 13 feel like just such an intentional number? Like you can imagine if they said we want to have, you can imagine if they specifically wanted a set number of people to be immune or to not be affected, it'd be like 13. It just feels like
interestingly, it started as 11 others, right?
Yeah, 11 besides her.
Yeah, and then they remembered. Then they found out about Manusis.
But Jesus had 12 apostles, so Carol and then 12.
I mean, she is trying to like save the entire world.
And it would be a great way to. I saw somebody in the comments was complaining, Carol is so self-centered, but randomly wants to save the world. Her character makes no sense. If she had like a Jesus complex, that way she could be narcissistic while also trying to save the world.
Well,
I don't see it that way at all.
Have we seen a point? Like, have we seen signs that she is so self-centered?
Not
like,
at all.
I
don't think so.
We've seen
I think
that.
she's in grief, but
no, not at all. That's my tendency to see one comment that gets under my skin, and then I just focus on it.
Speaking of comments getting under my skin, a lot of people in the Apple podcast reviews don't like me.
Well, we've had 2 Adams on the podcast, and
And
I'm
they
not
don't
saying
either.
You know what? They're talking about the other one.
Well, but one of them quoted
Even
you
though they
directly.
specifically quote me, but you know.
Has anyone complained about old Daniel on the in the comments, Go?
No, they don't
Nope.
think of you at all.
All right. Well, to sum up what we were thinking there, I think at least Dan, I won't speak for you, but I know that my initial reaction was there's just a genetic anomaly that allowed these 13 to be immune. The same way some people are immune to a virus.
It would be kind of funny if it turned out it was something psychological about them that like
I just can't.
them.
I feel like
It wouldn't make any sense.
Yeah, if there's something psychological about them, to me that's just as absurd as only 13 people have an immunity. It's such a small number.
Yeah.
It could be though. I'm sure we'll come back to that. More theories will come up. So Carol goes to check on Zosha. Like we said, she's kind of flippantly told, yeah, she's going to be fine.
Yeah, and as far as I can tell, she's hooked up to an unreal. Well, I guess okay. These are like the top medical. They have like the most perfect medical expertise you could possibly imagine. So maybe they're just not doing anything overkill. But in real life, after a heart attack like that, she would probably have a lot more stuff hooked up to her. It's possible that we just can't see it, but at minimum she's intubated, and so she's on a ventilator. Like that's obvious. That's what that machine that the woman is like, there's like this thing with a touch screen there. That's like the ventilator machine. But other than that, there should be like essentially like a big IV like in her neck leading down to her heart and some other stuff. But I'm willing to also say they're so smart that they know she didn't need it because they know exactly what caused the like cardiac arrest. And so it was unnecessary.
One interesting point on that, it did occur to me, we've been describing members of the hive as no more valuable to the hive than appendages. If we lose a few, who cares? We are one entity, and losing one human is like losing one out of 7 billion fingers. It just doesn't matter. But it almost seems to me, if you're trying to be as efficient as possible, why even bother hooking her up to tubes and saving her? It almost feels... It feels like that there can be an acceptable number of people to lose before you bother bringing them to hospitals and trying to save
reversal.
them.
I have
And we've lost you. You have a reversal. Yeah, you have a reversal. Continue from there.
We know that the hive is willing to sacrifice unjoined individuals, and that's why it accelerated the rollout and was willing to basically kill 1 billion people. And then presumably recycle their bodies into nutrition. We do not, and for all we know, from its perspective, that's not that different from just letting them join, because one way or another they're incorporating the material. On the other hand, we do not have evidence that they're willing to sacrifice the already joined. We have not seen that. And even if you think about it as one single individual, like a single hair on my head is not important to me, but I also don't want to feel it get yanked out. So I don't know, a little food for thought.
Well, by the way, though, a lot of the humans who died during the joining, I think we are led to believe did join, but then died.
In the last
right?
moments.
Helen,
yeah.
So the other thing, too, is I don't know that the hive mind was, quote unquote, like willing to sacrifice 1 billion people. Like, I don't know that they knew that was going to happen.
I think they did, because the way they described it, of like at first nobody died, we were going slow and steady. Once the military caught on, we had to accelerate things. Why didn't they accelerate things sooner? Because they knew it would be messier that way and there would be loss.
Sorry, I made the classic error of opening the stream on my phone.
So Carol is alone with Zosha.
Yeah. Now, already, isn't it odd that the hive would allow her to be alone with her?
Yeah. Well, I guess that's like, we're learning. We're making assumptions about how they treat quote unquote individuals of the hive, and I think we're gathering evidence for how they think about them. They are trying to save their lives, so maybe they aren't as willing to sacrifice them as quickly as we thought. And maybe they do see them as precious. They don't want to lose them.
Well, I still think it's hard to conclude anything about how they treat the members of the hive, because in this case, Zosha is an important spokesperson for the hive to Carol. Like, she plays an important role.
Yeah. I also think it was not just a throwaway line where they said, we're the pharmacist. When Carol said, "Oh yeah, I'm looking for heroin," and the pharmacist said, we have entire units full of people who are detoxing and
you're right.
fighting addiction. So it's I think the biological imperative that it has is like pretty much go to. We don't know what lengths it's willing to go to save members of the hive, but it seems like the threshold is very high because I don't know. We have at this point we have zero evidence really that it will sacrifice any joiners. I wouldn't be surprised if it will, but we don't have any evidence of it, and we don't know where it draws the line. If it draws it has to draw the line somewhere because you have limited resources, and so there's probably like heroic lengths that they could go to save certain people going through some kind of like major withdrawal that maybe it would not be willing to go to, but we haven't seen that.
Though I will say, I feel like to some extent it's going to be a bit robotic the way they go about this. The same way where, we'll give Carol an atom bomb because our imperatives say it just 1 + 1 = 2. She gets an atom bomb. As absurd as it is, nothing overrides the imperatives in their mind. Because if you think about it, okay, we're gonna go out of our way to like hook up Zosha to these machines and keep her alive. Yet when we first meet the old schoolers, we're not going to mention, by the way, if you raise your voice at us and you get really angry, millions of people will die. Like no warning given. And so they lost 11 million people the first time Carol yelled at them, and then more the second time. We don't know how many on the second round. So it's just interesting to see the differing lengths they'll go to preserve the bodies in the hive.
Well, and I also have a theory, which is like if you think about each individual body as a building block of the hive, or let's think of each individual as a cell in an organism. I think that, or like as an ant in a colony. I think I don't know enough about ants for this analogy to hold up in like a watertight way or an airtight way. But let's say that when an ant releases a pheromone that says like, oh, there's a predator over here, I don't know that the other ants question the need as dictated by that pheromone, or even if one individual expresses some fact or some imperative, is the broader imperative to just automatically take it at face value and fulfill whatever obligation is produced by it. I think it might be more like what I just described, which means when Zosha sees that another individual, whether it's a joined individual or it's an unjoined individual like Carol, either way, if it perceives a need by another cell, whether that cell is self or other, it just must fulfill the need. So Carol needs the atom bomb. Doesn't matter why, but it's producing a statement. I need an atom bomb. Okay, we will provide it somehow.
Right, as long as it fits within the priority of rules of like self-preservation.
And so similarly, each individual cell still operates as in some ways it's still an individual organism with its own sets of eyes and its own nervous system. And so like when we first met Zosha, she was there helping to clean up bodies, and like she saw a body, and then in retrospect, this was not a coincidence. Like a refrigerated, like food delivery truck pulls up.
A milk truck.
Maybe I can't remember if it was.
It was a
dairy
milk
or
truck.
Not.
Yeah.
So it pulls up and it helps load the body in, and it's like it doesn't question. Is Zosha's perception that there's a corpse to pick up accurate or not? It just comes. So like I think it operates according to, especially if it's for the vast majority of cells in the organism, if it believes that they're joined, it takes it for granted. And so whenever it detects a need, it fulfills the need.
Right.
Even
like
if
the need to be alive, for example.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
they're
exactly.
Try and say them, yeah.
Yeah. So I think it has very simple rules. We're just still teasing apart how do the rules get prioritized. But I think on a basic like organism level of like each individual cell. It's just, it detects a need, it fills the need.
Yeah,
I think it doesn't have a filter. It's not you. It doesn't know how to handle an unjoined. It's perplexed by it, and it's almost disturbed, and is trying to fix her.
Yeah.
Or maybe it sees her as like she's effectively a joined. She may as well be joined but malfunctioning, and they're just trying to fix it.
Right, they're not getting the signal from her, basically.
Yeah. Like, and it kind of makes sense that they don't care whether she's joined or not in terms of preserving her consent or autonomy. It's like, no, like there's just something wrong with you. We're trying to fix it.
Well, and pretty clearly they have an imperative to spread the joining,
cell.
right? Like, but you can also just like they have an imperative to spread the joining. Like they see her as unjoined, they need to do whatever they can. To
yeah, but
her.
my point is, they also have an imperative to fulfill the needs of others, but not really others. If it needs to fulfill it just must fulfill any perceived need. Now that really only makes sense if it's fulfilling the perceived needs of its own members. And yet it's not, that part's like not functioning. It just will, because it will fulfill Carol's needs too, even if they pose a potential threat to itself. And I think that's almost a glitch in its programming, because it's not really meant, like the process of getting everyone joined is like a transitory phase. Like it's not really optimized for the process of joining. It's optimized for, we are all together now, and now we just flourish and spread.
I see. Yeah, it might not. Yeah, I see what you're saying. That it
doesn't
just
know how
sort
to
of
deal
needs,
with it.
Yeah, it like needs to follow the instructions it receives, like ants with pheromones. So it's like yeah, like the organism, whatever thing, it might not know how to deal with any other conscious entity that could like lie to it, for example, right?
So like,
or manipulate
think about this. Like, you know, even though it's one mind, you still have, you know, someone flying a plane. Like Zosha's flying a plane, and it's going to need refueling when it lands. And so it only knows that through the eyes of Zosha seeing the fuel gauge. So like the sense of requirements and coordination between joiners or individual entities, it still comes from individual sets of eyes,
Right.
even though it all leads into one big complex.
Following that way of thinking, it would explain why they can't lie, because why would it ever have to lie to itself?
Yeah.
And so therefore, if Carol's essentially viewed as an ant that's somehow disconnected from the colony, it can't lie to her because it's just like a disconnected cell. Why would it? And so, and when she requests something, it treats that as a request from itself. It needs to fulfill whatever needs it comes across.
She sees all these billions of people as having some kind of infection, whereas they see her as the one that has a problem. Like she's like the one ant in the colony that has the cordyceps fungus that's causing it to misbehave.
Right.
They're
Very
trying to help her.
Yeah. We're going to keep an eye on this hive and continue to evolve our understanding of their behavior. By the way, tell him Steve Dave, shout out to the ants. All right, let's move along. Carol is alone with Zosha, watches her sadly, grabs a spot to lie down. While she sleeps, we see kind of part one of the Exodus montage. People walking out of the hospital to vans, trucks, buses. You can tell from the music and the score, it kind of acknowledges the significance of this moment. Daniel, you really shouted this out on the Instant Take. How they talk a little bit about how this represents such a shift in vibe, and there's no going back to the way things were.
Yeah. Exactly that point.
I guess talk about blah, blah, blah. I basically said it for you.
I would just say that like this to me was such an exciting scene because we could have imagined the original trajectory of the show continuing for a while, right? Adam made a comment in an early episode that I will not repeat because it gets us negative reviews when we repeat it. But we had worries about like what would this show turn into, what would be happening in the show, and we could have stayed in the world for a long time with the entity sort of staying as it was and Carol like experimenting whatever, but like the hive mind went and did something totally out of left field that I don't think any of us saw coming, and it did something that's sort of a one-way door. Like this permanently changes the way we see the hive mind. That it would do this, right? That it would go and leave Carol alone. Like, it's just such a change such a shock. And it's like, I don't know. To me, it's so exciting because the story is really progressing forward.
And what I love is it feels like it comes out of left field, but then when you think about the hive's behavior, using Adam's analogy from earlier, it all kind of connects. It's about self-preservation. She can yell at one of us and kill millions, so we're going to try and create distance between us and her. And it took a lot of pushing for us to get to this point, so it makes a lot of sense. And the exodus continues. That was just the beginning of it. Carol wakes up, finds the entire hospital empty, does the usual thing, dials 0 on a phone. Hello, Carol. This is a recording. At the tone, you can leave a message to request anything you might need. We'll do our best to provide it. Our feelings for you haven't changed, Carol, but after everything that's happened, we just need a little space. Of course, that was Patrick Fabian. We talked about on the instant take. That's Howard Hamlin from Better Call Saul making a vocal cameo. And like we talked about this a bunch on the instant take. I think we all see this as a defense mechanism. This isn't, we're upset with you, Carol. It's dangerous to be around you at the moment. So we need to get away from you. And that's why it's also a recording. Presumably that tells us she can yell at them over the phone and it could have a similar effect as in person. Carol seeks higher ground, get a look at what's going on, finds the Crown Plaza Albuquerque, takes the stairs all the way up to the roof, and from the roof, she sees that mass exodus. Tons of cars moving in perfect synchronization on the highway out of Albuquerque.
One little critique.
I think I know what you're going to say, but you say it first. Let's see.
Seeing her on the roof gave me the same visual uncanny valley I had whenever they would show King's Landing near the final seasons of Game of Thrones or in the new episodes of House of the Dragon. It's fake. It just looks like green screen. For all I know, this is real even, but there's something about it that doesn't look real to me.
Yeah, it is compositing. I mean, some of this is real. They filmed an actual overview of Albuquerque, but of course they digitally removed a lot of cars, added fake cars back in so they can be moving in sync. Now, they didn't go into all the details of how this was done, but the way they talked about it on the Insider podcast, they mentioned compositing. They mentioned that they built a set of the roof. So it sounds like they filmed Carol on a set with a green screen or blue screen and then added in the footage behind her that was digitally altered.
Yeah. It was a little bit like Tommy Wiseau tossing the football around on the roof in San Francisco.
I did not hit her. Yeah, I saw more than one person make that comparison.
Yeah.
This scene looked really bad. I thought almost on first watching, just really bad right away. The other thing though, and this might have just been an artistic choice, did you notice when the camera's moving, it's so blurry. What were they doing there?
Yeah.
It was crazy blurry.
On the Insider podcast, again, they said, I will never, ever do another 270-degree pan again. Just very hard to keep it smooth, not have kind of blur. There's a lot of challenges in this
It's
scene.
a big technical challenge. I will say it did not take me out of it. I still got the impact of seeing everyone just exiting the entire city. It was still cool. It didn't take me out enough to harm the scene. It's more just it bugged me a little bit in the moment, and now it bugs me more after the fact. But does it actually cause any harm? Really? No.
Don't give us a negative review for that, because anytime we critique the show, the score tanks a little bit on Apple Podcasts. That's the most gentle of critiques.
This is the best show on TV.
Yeah, to be honest, I liked that it made it noticeable that it was green screen, because to me it's the Vince Gilligan is winking at us, and I like feeling that connection.
I like bad things.
Nice save. There's a lot of challenges going on here. So one of them also is just that you want it to be dark enough so you see all the taillights to make it effective seeing all the cars moving, but not so dark that you can't see Carol. So they do this kind of sunsetting thing to get just the right lighting. I will say the only time I really noticed this looks weird is when it was in the process of panning. But at the time I was watching it, I assumed it was something with my monitor. So it really didn't take me out of it. But I will say, just on a pure visual level, it is pretty awesome. And they found the right spot of Albuquerque where you don't just have all the cars moving one way. You see them moving this way and you see them moving that way. That's specifically why they chose this spot. So it could be not just that one single direction. And just going back to what you were saying, Daniel, this is the moment that kind of hits home the big shift in the vibe, where Carol feels like they're waiting on her hand and foot, and they're still doing that, but the visceral reaction to seeing them all abandon her and leave, it feels like a big shift, even if you take them at their word that their feelings haven't changed. And so I feel like it does such a great job of changing the status quo without violating any of the rules that they laid out for us in the first 2 episodes. Now, that's really impressive. Oh, yeah, one other thing. I just think exploring what happens when you create a hive mind out of the entire world. We keep exploring kind of different facets of that. And now we see another one, which is the thing people always talk about with self-driving cars, is you would essentially never have traffic because all the cars can just move at the same time.
Like
I remember
a train.
hearing, yeah, like a train. I remember hearing somebody on the radio years ago when there was traffic on like I-87, let's say. And he was like, all right, everybody that's stuck in traffic on I-87, all of you hit the gas now. You know, and they can do that in real life as a connected hive mind. Empty Albuquerque, Carol yells at the clouds. Good riddance. F you. Cut to starting. That was a funny cut to the Pluribus title.
You know, they probably heard it.
Yeah, if even one of them was an earshot, they heard.
Oh, it's
or if they have drones
look,
nearby.
they probably got surveillance.
Can I one other? I'm not complaining about the show.
Frame it
but
positive.
No, it's just it seems a little odd that she got to the roof like right at the exact moment, like the last cars are clearing out.
Nah,
Like, it's the
I got
exact
no
moment.
problem with that.
No,
That-
okay,
to me
can I
that's just
explain?
artistic.
This
Yeah,
is let me
explain.
fill in the blanks for you, Daniel. She probably saw some cars leaving, so she was in a rush to catch a view. Look how sweaty she is.
Look how sweaty.
Yeah, she was really rushing.
Okay.
Why rush unless she had a sense that they were leaving the city? So she didn't coincidentally get there just in time. She booked it.
Can we just delete this part? Because I know I'm going to get a negative comment now.
No, that's why we're doing this live, so I don't waste time
Right.
combing through and cutting stuff out.
Adam put me up to it. Adam told me to criticize the show more.
I'm getting too
love
much
the
heat.
show. I mean,
I'm
I
getting
love
too much
this.
heat, Daniel. Say something dumb.
This is the best show I've ever seen. Wait, that sounded sarcastic. I actually do mean though.
It actually
I'm
is.
very excited
It is
about the
amazing.
show.
I texted our older brother, who's the most discerning among us. He watches nothing, and I recommended the show to him. He's falling in love with it, and I texted him today. This is quickly becoming one of my favorite all-time shows. Carol returns home, still driving in her police car, which I love, and she starts writing a script. Puts on some makeup, gets dressed, sets up a camera. Doesn't notice that she's still wearing a handcuff because they cut it off her when she had handcuffed herself to Zosha, and they cut it to treat Zosha, but she doesn't realize she still has one of the cuffs on her hand.
I love that. I just love that's such a Vince Gilliganism.
There's a few of those in this episode. Just sort of funny objects that are repeated. So back in Breaking Bad, when he throws a pizza on the roof, and like over the next 2 or 3 episodes, you see it still on the roof. There are a few things this episode that really remind me of that kind of humor. So I'll call them out as we go. While she's writing the script, she's kind of muttering to herself, like afflicted people, which I said it on the instant take, but I love watching her struggle to find the right vernacular for how to deal with all this, because it's almost a meta thing where we're all doing the same thing. What do we call the joined? What do we call the unjoined? It's, that kind of thing.
I want her to talk to this is really a random thought, but when she had the meeting on Air Force One with the unjoined, with the
old schoolers,
the old schoolers, I forgot the name of the man from China, but like he seemed sympathetic to her point. I want to see him again.
Wait, which guy are you talking about?
The Chinese man who was like she didn't know.
She didn't know.
When
How could she have known?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like he seemed open to reason.
No, I like that guy. Honestly, I had a feeling like I thought after that episode we're just not going to see those people again. That almost seems dumb. Like, why? Of course we're going to see them again. But just the way that they were so not on the same page as her and kind of just resigned to this new world order, I felt like, okay, maybe that's the last of them. But seeing Lakshmi again really put a smile on my face.
I'm sure we're gonna have like a grand reveal of Kumba again.
Yeah. I'm surprised we haven't seen any more.
Like at a
Pumbaa
certain
since-
point, like don't you think at a certain point? I mean, the very essence of Buddhism is like, even when you're like in the Garden of Eden, you have every last wish of yours satisfied. Eventually, you will still feel empty and like something is missing.
Yeah,
I think Kumba's going to learn that soon. You know,
I have a thought about
once he's like impregnated like several hundred of the joined, he's going to be like, what else is there to do?
I have a thought on Kumba, which I will share momentarily because we're about to get there. What the script Carol's writing, it turns out that is a message for the other old schoolers, the ones who have not been joined into the hive. So she records a message for them on camera. And she tells them, I've got news. There's a way to turn the world back the way it's supposed to be. How does she know? She believes that the hive cannot lie. And they so resisted telling her how to reverse all this, everyone burst into tears worldwide, which I know upset at least one of you, which I thought was funny. And they all abandoned me, which tells me I'm on the right track. And she ends with a pitch. I realize some of you think the world might be better off this way, with all the newfound peace, love, and understanding. Enjoy that opinion. Relish it, because it may be the last one you ever possess. And when the day comes that you have peace and love forced upon you, who knows? Maybe in that last fleeting moment, you might just realize you treasured your individuality. That's what made me think of Kumba, because I think in her initial pitch, she kind of just assumed this is obviously the right thing to do for humanity. We need to save everyone. Here, she's had time to put her author hat on and find a more customized way to appeal to these people and do it on a more emotional level, like trying to make them imagine what it's going to feel like when you're about to be absorbed. You're going to lose your individuality. And when you were talking about Kumba, Adam, living this hedonistic lifestyle, that's all going to end if he becomes part of the hive. Supposedly, he'll just be content for eternity or whatever. But he seems to me like a person who enjoys his individuality. He likes to decide, I'm going to go to Vegas and meet Elvis's ghost and that sort of thing. So I feel like this is a much stronger pitch. She tells them, call me anytime, day or night. Doesn't get any calls this episode, but I have a feeling she's at least got a couple of them to pay attention. Her credibility is slightly harmed, I think, by that handcuff that's prominently on her hand or her wrist. But I found that interesting. Also, it's challenging to have a character who's essentially on her own. When we saw episode 1, I was like, how is this going to be a series if she's the only person around that is a character, doesn't just have a goofy smile on their face all the time and is just walking around doing stuff? So they keep finding ways to keep it going. So you have the other old schoolers that carried us through episode 2. You have Zosha and the Hive, who interacts with Carol sometimes, especially when she's poking and prodding and trying to learn. And now we have the camera. He gives us a way for her to essentially talk to us, and we can hear some of her thoughts in a way that makes sense. It doesn't feel cheesy like this is a reality show and she's in the booth doing confessionals.
What I love, there's so many nice little touches just from a videography standpoint and artistic standpoint. First of all, there's the use of color, as always. You saw it in Breaking Bad, like Walter White, Gretchen Schwartz, which means black in German. There was someone with the last name that translated to blue. And then you have the blue meth. And so here you have yellow is a huge theme because it's like the color of the Petri dish in the advertising and the marketing. You got her wearing like a mustard colored jacket with the yellow stripes on the pillows. Then also just you keep jumping to different shots. First, you have like the normal like camera that we're seeing where it's like high quality film and it's her recording herself. But then you also see shots of the video output from the camera. which is actually in a different aspect ratio here. If you're listening, it's just like a grainier, lower quality footage of like what you would see if you plugged the camera in, if you just took the video file and watched it. It's not as wide as like the feed we're getting normally. Then you see another shot, which is like diegetic might be the right word, where it's in the normal aspect ratio, but it's filming the screen of the camera, and you can see her on the camera screen on the camcorder, but then behind her you see a blurry shot of the actual Carol. Just with something so simple, they find so many different ways to present it to us.
Yeah, which I feel like is, I talked about this in my importance of detail video, but I think Vince Gilligan, part of his ethos, and he talks about this in one of his interviews, he doesn't like to repeat shots. And I think they always just try to find a way, especially if a scene is just a person sitting there talking. He's also talked before about wanting to have, actually it was James Gunn who talked about this. If he has a scene of two characters just talking to each other, he doesn't like them to just, one is sitting and one is standing over there. He likes them doing things while they're talking, moving around, so the scene is more interesting and dynamic and more true to life. So he says he gets really irritated when he watches the movie and they're just sitting there. I haven't heard Vince Gilligan say that, but I think he has a similar feeling, because you will often see when his characters are talking, they are moving around or doing interesting things. But I think in lieu of that, if she's just sitting there talking instead of just a single shot, you cut to various angles, so it kind of gives you the same effect, but it's still just one person. And then they serve a purpose, like seeing it the way it's going to look if you were watching it in real life, on video, it kind of puts you in the shoes of the other old schoolers. So you feel like she's talking to you, and you see what it would feel like to receive that SD card. Speaking of which, she puts that card in an envelope, calls up Howard Hamlin, and leaves a recording asking them to pick up that card, add subtitles for all those who do not speak English, and distribute copies to the other 12 old schoolers. And then she says, I can't force you to do it, but it would make me happy. I know you're into that. And essentially, if you don't do it, I can't be held responsible for my mood, which reminded me of season 6 of Better Call Saul, an episode titled Carrot and Stick, where Kim Wexler uses both methods. And here we see it again. She puts that envelope outside, and very quickly, bzzz, we see a drone fly in and pick it up.
The drone is just also such great Gilligan-esque comedy.
Yeah. I think just the almost silence and just watching this thing slowly come into view, it feels so absurd and ridiculous. And it gets funnier later when we have some slapstick comedy with the drone. I also just love Carol's impatience when she calls that number and hears the same recording again. It's just that relatable thing. When you call a company, you've called 10 times, so you've already heard this recording so many times. You know who you need to talk to. You know which number you need to press, but you got to get through the recording. It's so frustrating. So I found that hilarious.
And it's like, this is the hive mind of the... It has the most brilliant minds incorporated into it that exist. And it's... even in the smartest possible world, you still have to deal with the being on hold, essentially, waiting through an annoying message.
I also feel like a drone is so appropriate. Well, first off, it looks like a UFO. So in a show where there are these alien kind of undertones, I just felt like that was really appropriate. And then, of course, you can think of the others as almost drone-like, where they have their orders and they just go and they do. They don't appear to have any of their own desires. So I feel like the drone works so well as a visual for the show. Bedtime. Carol grabs a bottle of Irish whiskey called Writer's Tears. She's a writer. She's sad. Very appropriate. But
pretty on the nose.
Well,
not that I'm complaining. No, I'm not. I'm actually not complaining. It's fun. I think it's because you're not going to notice unless it's just like a nice little Easter egg.
Well, and I'm sure it was intended that way in universe. Like Helen probably bought it for her as a joke because she complains all the time.
Yeah.
So she's like, here you go, Writer's Tears. But she decides against it. She doesn't pour herself a drink. She puts the bottle down and sits down for some dinner. So I mean, we've seen a few. I'm not going to say signs because at this point it's obvious that she's become proactive. She's no longer just sitting around watching Golden Girls. But this is just one more little sign of where her head's at. The fact that she's not taking the drink, I think, is one more little sign that she's feeling pretty hopeful at the moment. And I wonder if that will last. Is this like, that I did it, I beat it, I'm not alcoholic anymore? Or is there potential for a relapse?
Well, it's this episode is critical because we're seeing how she is now that she has some reason to be hopeful. Like a precondition to having any sense of purpose, I think, is having hope that doing something will matter. And if she thought that there was nothing she could do to reverse everything that happened, then what's there left to do but to just drink and watch Golden Girls?
Yeah, no, exactly.
But she has a sense of purpose now because she really has the conviction that this can be fixed somehow.
Yeah.
And I think she's willing to do anything to try.
Yeah, she literally pointed at her face and was like, "This is me happy." And she sounded very happy when she got Zosha's non-answer that told her, yes, there's a way to fix this.
Yeah, because she has hope. And I mean, and even before this whole apocalypse happened, she was pretty lacking in purpose because she was unsatisfied with her work, and her work kind of defined her.
Right.
This is something kind of separate, but I was going to say it before. We did kind of compare her to like a Jesus figure. And if she does manage to fix this, I mean, she will have done something of way beyond like biblical significance in terms of the amount of people she saved. And like, I mean, it's the kind of thing that she would be remembered for millions of years afterward if humanity goes on.
Not beyond biblical significance.
No, of course not.
Let's just say it's up there.
It's up there.
Yeah.
She will have saved all of humanity.
Yes. She would not be the first one who's done that. Bedtime. Not just for Carol.
Wait, speaking of bed. Oh, yeah, you go ahead. You're going to say the same thing I'm going to say.
Bedtime. Not just for Carol, but also for Daniel. If you're listening and you're like, why hasn't Daniel talked in like 20 minutes? If you're watching, you saw he dropped off. We started much later than we wanted to. So, he had to go to bed.
He's a sleepy boy.
Yeah. Sad music because Carol looks at her bed. Helen's not there. She gets in bed, looks at the empty side of the bed, sees the books on the night table, and then some noise outside. She sees wolves digging through her trash. She goes to the garage, yells at them, scares them off, then calls Howard again and demands they turn the lights.
Oh, that's just Howard.
She demands they turn the lights in the city back on. I love hearing the recording again. We hear the recording on the phone an absurd number of times this episode. And even when the recording is different, it's so similar. It's awesome. And I assume she wants all the lights turned back on because right now it's like a moth to a flame. That she is the only light in the city, so that's where the animals go. And then they find the trash. Gets back in bed. And on Helen's nightstand, we see at the top of her stack of books is And Then There Were None, an Agatha Christie novel.
Do not look on Wikipedia and see what the original title of that book was in England back when it was first written.
Yes, that was an inappropriate title, and this, I would say, is an appropriate title for what we're going through right now. And Then There Were None. Okay, so a lot of articles have already been written. Nothing in a Vince Gilligan show is a mistake. Every detail matters. I definitely agree with that to an extent.
Oh, really? I think it's just total coincidence, the title of this book.
I gotta be honest, though. I think that this book being here, it's really not much more. This is what I take from it.
Well, Helen, she may have picked it out. Oh, well, that's Helen's side. Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so this is what I take from this book. Helen liked reading Agatha Christie. So it tells us a little bit about her character. And that title is kind of funny for the situation we're in right now. Like it's just a very appropriate. It's ironic.
No. It's fitting.
It's fitting, you're right. The opposite of ironic. It's coincidental. Now, if you look at the story of the book, it's essentially a murder mystery. 8 people are lured to an island, and a recording, just like in this episode, accuses each of them of murder. They begin to die one by one. It's kind of like judge, jury, and executioner. You all killed some people in your lives, and now you're going to die. And then one of them is the killer. Who's the killer? So I know, to me, it feels like a lot of things happen in this book. So no matter what happens in Pluribus, you'll be able to look back and find connections. It's kind of like the Bible code, right? The Bible is such a large book, and any large book, you could just find any message you want. You know, if you take every third letter and correspond it to a number and add them all up, it equals the same, you know, the year that the world's going to end, you know, blah, blah, blah.
It also just kind of reminds me of like, you know, books had some significance in Breaking Bad too, like Leaves of Grass by Walt Whitman, WW, and then you have Hank being like, who could it be? Walter White? And then Walter White goes, "You got me."
All-timer moment.
Yeah.
Adam, do you think, am I being too dismissive of the possible, like, deeper meaning of this book?
I think if the book had some real, like, let's say we read the book and we're like, oh, now we know everything that's going to happen on this show. I would say no. I think it's a nice little tongue-in-cheek inclusion. There might be more to read into it there. Also, if you know, I don't know enough about Agatha Christie to say, I've never read this book, but also we know that the way they write these shows, they don't know how this is going to end exactly. They don't know precisely what's going to happen. They don't know how many seasons it's going to be. So there's only so much you can read into this.
Though it's not just like a code for what's going to happen on the show. It could also just be similar themes. Like the theme in this book is partly judging. I'm judging you and I'm killing you. Is there some form of something? I'll read the book. I'll read the book and I'll get back to everybody.
Don't commit to that.
Okay.
You have enough work to do.
I might read the book and then I'll get back to everybody. I've been on a kick lately of I've rediscovered my love for reading because I'm working on a Frankenstein video, Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein. Before I saw the movie, I went back and read Mary Shelley's original. And then since then, I got a Kindle. I don't know if I told you that.
I was going to say you got the Kindle for Black Friday, so you really...
I've been reading a lot. So maybe I'll throw this on the pile. We'll see. The next day, Carol gives Howard Hamlin another call. I need my trash picked up. That's all she says and hangs up. And she gets a call back with a recording that essentially says, we can do that. And they give her instructions. The bags must weigh under 17 pounds each and be at least 2 feet apart, right, to set it up for drone pickup. She puts the trash bag on the curb. She gives it a cursory kind of shake to see how much it weighs. And she's like, I don't know, maybe that's right. Puts it down. The drone picks up the trash, struggles a little, and then wraps itself around a street lamp and drops all the trash. That felt very Better Call Saul, Breaking Bad style humor to me. Just something absurd happening and nobody reacting at all.
I felt sad for the drone.
Yeah, and it was a real drone. Drones were harmed in the filming of this episode.
And then you see what's that? The cloche, is that what it's called?
Yeah, the cloche, the thing you put over room service, for example, to keep the food warm. So this is another example of
she went through a lot of toilet paper in 1 week.
I see 2 rolls there, I see.
Yeah.
But some of those could have been in her trash from before.
Maybe. I don't know. She's got to ask them to provide some Metamucil.
This is Agatha Christie all over again. I wouldn't read too much into this. The cloche to me is like the pizza on the roof again. It's just a funny object that we're going to see repeatedly.
And the cloche, for those who are not on the visual end of this, that's that fancy metal dish covering
I explained
that
this
you
already.
use when you.
I already explained
you
it.
just explained it. Sorry,
Yeah.
I was struggling with the visual the images from the episode.
Yeah, that's why I gave you that job. When I was trying to recap while also scrolling through the
getting
episode, it was
distracted.
challenging. Carol,
And now she's trying to figure out where to throw out the cloche.
right, so she grabs the trash, drives around, and finds a couple of public trash receptacles.
Which, like, what difference does it make? Like, she could just throw it onto the street.
Yeah, that's true, but maybe she's trying to, like, she's got nothing
She's
to
trying
do.
to live life normal.
Exactly. And again, there's just more humor in like the cloche won't fit through the trash hole. So she's got to like lift up the lid and then throw it out. It's just relatable
Oh,
thing.
and it does serve a purpose narratively.
Right. So she opens up the trash and by doing that, sees a bunch of milk cartons at the bottom of it. And so that starts the investigation. She finds a big recycling bin filled with tons of milk cartons. She opens it up. There's a great shot looking. Oh, you had it right there. The perfect shot. It's looking up at her from inside the
Love the
recycling bin.
colors.
Yeah, it's like the yellow against the blue sky. Great colors. I was able to use this image unchanged as the thumbnail for my importance of detail video. It's a great visual. Finds a ton of milk in there. More humor in just watching her go through this process, like struggling to get the lid open.
I just love, again, the Gilligan stuff. Like between this show, Breaking Bad, and Better Call Saul, so many occasions in which people have to dig through trash, go into dumpsters. There's toilet humor all over the place, even including the toilet paper rolls. You said don't read too much into that. I won't read into it in terms of her bathroom habits, but I will read into it in terms of like, yeah, they just like toilet humor. And it's like very, the show takes itself seriously while also not being pretentious.
Right. Like
like
Jimmy's
too
whole
high-minded.
thing, he got arrested for the Chicago sunroof. And
Yeah.
when he first gets his office in Better Call Saul, it's just a big empty room with a toilet in the
With a
middle of
toilet,
it.
yeah.
Like Jimmy especially could not escape association with toilets, bathroom, etc.
Even remember he had that inventor who wanted to make a toilet for toilet training kids, and it's like, feed me. or if a kid makes a really good deposit, he's like, you're so big.
Yeah, that was great.
There's the one where he has the guy sit on the cake and film it.
Yep. My cards.
My cards.
Yeah, so Carol opens up the big recycling bin and finds a bunch of milk cartons. I will say, when she's reaching in and tries to grab one and just accidentally smacks it away, I feel like she was hardly trying. She just got annoyed and was like, I'm going to hit this milk carton over. And then she falls in. Again, very Jimmy, digging through the trash.
There she is falling in.
There is a great overhead shot of her lying on the cartons of milk, which is another great way to either telegraph or lull us into believing that this milk is people. Yeah. On one of the cartons, she sees that the milk comes from a company called Duke City. So that's where she goes next. Next, Duke City Dairy. At this little dairy facility, she finds that the cartons are not filled with milk. They're filled with some amber liquid made
Loosh.
from yeah, exactly. It's loosh. It's made from powder. She sees a bunch of bags of powder in the back with crows pecking at it. Another potential indication that it's people, because often crows in media, we see them as scavengers. When you see a body that's been rotting, you'll see a crow poking at it.
Like Game of Thrones, especially like one of the whole books is called A Feast for Crows because of all the all the dead.
Right, exactly. She grabs one of the bags of powder, brings it home, and tests it with some pH strips. She goes out back to either a hot tub or a above ground pool and uses some of her testing strips on it. And so she gives another update to the other survivors, films herself again. And she holds up some of the milk cartons and she tells them they drink this stuff like it's going out of style. Check your area. They're probably drinking some out there too. Maybe there it's not out of milk cartons, but it's out of cans or whatever facility they could find nearby to repurpose as a place for making this strange amber liquid. And what is this liquid? Is it how they all stay connected? Carol doesn't know. This is what she does know so far. It smells like nothing. Has a weird texture, like olive oil, but a little thinner. Definitely means something, she says, which to me felt like grasping at straws. Like she knows she's got no real conclusions to draw from all this, but she's like, it feels weird. Means something. pH level, 7.1, neutral, and does not contain chlorine. Really narrows it down.
I just think it's really. disconcerting that she has to rely on the hive mind to disseminate this information for her, because they're gonna know that she's onto all of this.
It's so interesting because this is another one of those thoughts I had when the series first began. One was, how is this a series? She has nobody to bounce off of, nobody to interact with. And the other one was, how can she possibly fight back against this? And the clever thing they came up with is that this hive has rules, essentially, that she can use against them. That is the only thing that allows this to be a series. The fact that they can't lie, the fact that she can tell them to deliver this, and she can at least believe that they will. It's so clever.
Keep talking. I'm just struggling with the playback again.
No, we're all going to sit here and wait. The class is going to wait, Adam.
Yeah.
She starts to get frustrated on camera and kind of vents. Is anyone listening out there? Any response at all? Are you even getting these? Because how the F would I know? Turns off the recording, deletes it, and starts over. Puts a smile on and starts over. Still doesn't realize that handcuff is on her wrist, by the way. Adam, you ready for me to pull that screen share back up?
Yeah, we're good.
She puts the new SD card outside. Drone picks it up, flying past the previously destroyed drone, which felt like another one of those, just the repetition of an absurd object. Seeing the pizza over and over in Breaking Bad. Here, seeing the cloche a few times. And now, yeah, that broken drone is just still there. It's going to stay there until the hive moves back to Albuquerque.
I mean, they have they have the urge to clean up and keep everything tidy, and the drone, the lights on it are even still on. They just, it's too. I'm sure they want so bad to go in and like get rid of this, but it's not. They can't risk it. Like they don't have the. They're not going to do more than send drones at this point, and so it's like they have to leave it. It tells you how afraid they are of her.
They're going to nuke that lamp just to vaporize that drone.
Yeah. But also think about this: when she's assuming the SD cards really are making their way to the other survivors, Minusis is getting these.
Yes,
he's gonna get a letter postmarked from Carol Sturka, and he's gonna jump on that. I can't wait. I really hope the next episode opens with him watching this.
Yeah, we already got to see when she called him and cursed him out. We got to see that from his perspective. I'm hoping the same thing happens again with these messages. That's exactly what I was thinking too when she started doing these. But now the wolves return. Oh yeah, one thing though, on her recordings, I love how you can kind of hear the excitement in her voice. The fact that she's making progress. She's like, I found out they're drinking this stuff. And to me, there's a little parallel here. It's something, a thought you triggered for me a few episodes ago when you asked me why an author. And so now I keep seeing all these reasons that is so perfect for her character. And here I feel like there's a parallel. We saw on the whiteboard when she was doing research for her next book, and then pulls out another whiteboard and starts doing research on them, the hive. Mm-hmm. And so that already draws a parallel between the writing process and what she's going through right now. And the excitement we see from her as she's piecing this all together, I bet it sounds a lot like the excitement Helen would have heard when she was doing research for her next book and the story starts to come into view and she starts to figure out how this is all going to work. Carol goes to pour herself a drink and finally notices the handcuff. And I love how it's just a silent, like, of course, she sees it, and you know what she's thinking. That probably didn't help in all those videos I sent out. I'm sure Lakshmi is seeing those, like, what is wrong with this woman? How do you get arrested in this reality?
Yeah.
They don't arrest people. So how did she end up with a handcuff on her wrist? It must look so absurd.
Do you think at some point Lakshmi it's gonna hit her and she's gonna be like, this isn't really my son anymore? Like, because Lakshmi could see this video. First of all, she's probably not watching the videos, but if she does watch the video, she might be watching it in the presence of her son and be like, what's with this handcuff? And the son could just be like, oh, mother, that's because she handcuffed herself to Zosha. And then, you know, it's like, why do you know this? You're supposed to be a little kid.
Like, I don't know how many times I have to tell you this, Mom. Like,
Yeah.
I'm a hive mind.
Yeah.
Did you watch the first 4 episodes?
Yeah. I don't know. But, like right now, she's being played for laughs, but you know how these things go. I mean, remember, we were always like quasi dancing around spoilers for Breaking Bad, but like Gale was a funny character,
Oh yeah.
and he was kind of a little bit of a joke, but he had significance and ultimately had intense significance.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like it's easy to dismiss the Lakshmi thing as like, oh, she's so annoying and it's kind of funny, but there is something tragic going on with her, and I wouldn't ignore that.
Yeah, I do think they would not have included her again this episode just for the ha, like she's still mad at Carol. It feels like there's a reason they want her in our minds, that we don't forget about her. So, yeah, she could take on more significance. That would be interesting. Carol finds out what's up with those wolves. They're outside sniffing around her wife's makeshift grave, and they start digging. They smell food. Intense music at this moment. She screams for them to leave, but this time there's 5 of them. They aren't afraid. They just growl back. Carol runs inside, out the front door, gets to the police car, tries to grab the shotgun, but it won't budge. Instead, she, in desperation, turns on the siren, drives through her own fence, and scares off the wolves. This scene was very intense, and I love that the intensity of the show doesn't just come from Carol versus the Hive. Like last episode, please, Carol, that was very intense. But now it's something that has really nothing to do with the overarching plot of the show. Instead, it's about her mourning her wife and these animals disrespecting the grave and coming close to digging her back up.
Yeah, they made a lot of progress.
Yeah, they get pretty deep, and it would be easy for this subplot to get lost in the I don't even want to call it a subplot because it's a core part of Carol's character. It would be easy for that to get lost in the story, but I'm glad we're still mourning that character. It feels realistic. And then,
in so many shows, they just someone significant will die, and it's like maybe you have 5 minutes of focus on it, and it's just as if it never happened.
Yeah, and then there's like, this is the acceptance moment. This is when they have completed the grieving process, acceptance, like, boom, now let's get back to the normal status quo. Like, I don't think she'll ever truly be past this. And of course, they find a way, because it's TV, it's a story, you want to turn up the intensity. So it's not just Helen's out there, I haven't forgotten about her. It's wolves are outside trying to dig her up. So it finds a way to punch up the emotion.
I'm waiting to see a giraffe.
I know, they teased
like
it.
From the zoo.
They got to get the budget for season 2.
Yeah.
I want that giraffe. That's Vince Gilligan.
Yeah.
So the next morning, Carol wakes up in the cop car, notices how easily the shotgun unlatches.
Oh, yeah. I remember that you got to remember that she's drunk when this is happening.
Or at least she was drinking. And also, drink aside, I mean, she was very worked up emotionally, and there was an intense situation, and there was something needs to be done fast. So it's easy in the dark to not see that little button that just opens the latch. Could this be Chekhov's gun, Adam? Perhaps will this shotgun do something for her later when Lakshmi comes around again?
Lakshmi's there digging up the body.
Pointing at me.
Yeah.
I don't recall if it happens now or later, but she also gets the key to take off that handcuff. Okay, so now it's morning. So what's she gonna do now? We get another nice doing stuff montage. Carol goes and gets a bunch of slabs of concrete. I love the detail where you can see how much the car is getting weighed down, to the point where when she's driving home, sparks are flying because it's scraping on the ground, which just is a way to foreshadow how much work it's going to be for one human being to do this. And again, it's a great way to show us the grieving process, not just tell us about it. But now she has to physically do something to kind of progress in her grief.
I like that now that there's this big hole in the fence, she can just she can just back the cop car up into the backyard easily and just
Yeah,
unload it there.
exactly. And so that's what she does. She starts taking the slabs of concrete, putting them down to protect her wife's burial site.
And those are I think those are the same gardening gloves that Zosha provided her when she was, maybe they're different gloves, but it's definitely to an extent a callback from when she was overworking herself to bury Helen in the first place, you know, and Zosha came and tried to give her some supplies.
Right, but this time nobody's coming, and she really does have to do it herself.
And when you look at that backyard, it past the, like what's being fenced out. Normally a fence is like for privacy and to separate you from the neighbors, and it's like there's no one back there. It's just desolation and empty. It's an empty field.
Exactly. She spends all day covering the grave. Fun montage. Sad montage. A couple of great shots. I mean, one, of course, you got it right there. The silhouette of her, the sun behind her, and you see all the bugs. And then she paints her a tombstone, draws
there
flowers.
Were gnats everywhere.
Yeah, which I think was, I think they said that was kind of an accident. They didn't expect that. You know that thing where you don't realize how many bugs are around until you get just the right lighting?
You see it in the sun, yeah.
Yeah, and you're like, oh my God, that's disgusting. I think they said that's what happened when they were filming. They were like, wow, let's keep that in. It was just like, I think it was Ozymandias. Is that how you pronounce that, Adam? I always struggle with that. That amazing episode of Breaking Bad. There's one moment where like a bird flies into the shot and then what's that bird that flies really fast?
A hummingbird.
Yeah, hummingbird like flies into frame and then flies off. And it was like, wow, let's keep that in. So to me, the music during this montage was sad, but also felt like it had a sense of purpose almost. Because a running theme of the show has been the Hive trying again and again to sort of disturb Helen's grave. They keep bringing up memories or bringing up thoughts that Helen had, which she never shared. And Carol accuses them of being grave robbers. So they were
they don't get it.
No, because
they really don't understand individuality.
No, not at all. So to them, it's like, of course we're gonna. I mean, Helen had this memory. It's useful. It should be consoling. So yeah, of course we're gonna pull that up. And for them, if any people, quote unquote, in the Hive die, their memories and their thoughts all remain.
And I said this on our instant take, you know, our original stream the night of the episode, but just the shot where you see the finished product with all the stones laid out and you realize like she went above and beyond. Like you see a shot at one point and you think she's almost done. And then it keeps going. The time lapse keeps going for hours, and now the sun is setting and she's finally finished. And it's a huge covering. It's like a whole plaza basically. And it's very, very sad to think about it. And it's this huge, I called it a scar. And I still feel that way. It's just this massive thing she's going to see every single day that she looks outside.
Yeah, and presumably we're going to see it again. It's now in her backyard permanently. And connecting it back to what I was saying earlier, where the Hive was metaphorically robbing her wife's grave and unburying her, now it's happening physically with the wolves, and she covers up the grave and protects her. And it feels like it has a sense of finality to it, where if there is any hope of closure, I feel like this was an important step toward that.
Yeah.
After the montage, Carol sits down for a drink, inadvertently knocks over the bag of powder, which felt like another little moment of dark humor, similar to the drone crashing and no one really reacting. Here, it's like, sit down, bag falls, powder gets everywhere. It's like, that's annoying, but she is in no mindset to have any reaction to it. But she does notice on the back of the bag a barcode that gets her thinking. She runs off to Sprouts, aka Whole Foods. Not a Whole Foods, Adam. I don't know how many times I have to tell you this. Sprouts is a real chain. Just because you don't have one where you live doesn't mean it's not a real place. Okay,
And that's
Sprouts.
directed at the one negative YouTube comment you got about it.
Exactly. So she scans the barcode, gets an input error, no dice. But she has an idea. If the amber liquid was being produced at a repurposed dairy plant, the powder's probably similarly being done at some other plant that once existed for one purpose and is now being used for another. So she goes to the dog food aisle and finds another bag with a very similar seal on it and sees a similar barcode on it. So she sees where that dog food is manufactured. And also, I just found it funny when they restocked the Sprouts. They took that very literally. She doesn't have a dog.
Yeah.
She has no plans on having a dog anytime soon, but they still made sure to stock the dog food aisle. They come 100% restocked the Sprouts.
I want to see if they somehow maintain it even though they've left the city.
My bet is no in the short term, but if this went on long enough, they would make sure to find a way. Or like they would send Carol a recording like, please do not go near the Sprouts for the next 4 hours. And they're going to send people to restock it. So the dog food is manufactured by Agrijet. So that's where she goes. Heads to Agrijet, heads into the refrigerated section, walks down an aisle of fruits, other things. Oh, so the powder was fruits all along. Glad it wasn't anything weird. Oh, wait, there's more. Heads down, keeps going down the aisle, an aisle of body bags. She lifts up one of the bags, and inside the body bag, she kind of goes, she looks at it like in shock, backs away, and goes, ah! End of episode.
That makes it sound like she like stepped on a Lego. Like,
yeah. Well, okay, so they're not body bags. I was being facetious. Yeah. But if you look at the aisle, this is one thing I didn't notice until I rewatched. Like if you go back a few frames, Adam, to when there's a wide shot where you see a bunch of tarp. It looks like bodies. I mean, look at that. If I saw this screenshot, I would be like, yeah, it's a bunch of bodies.
Yeah, but preceding that, you see these are frozen watermelons. I saw potatoes earlier. Those are pineapples.
Yeah, but they're not under
bread,
a tarp.
There's some bread above it.
Once you get to the tarps, man, it really looks like it looks like a bunch of body bags. That's got to be
some kind of meat. I mean, for all we know, it's just a pile of indiscernible meat.
Well, so that's one theory I heard is because there is a so she lifts a tarp. She has kind of a what am I looking at? Kind of like you can't really read her expression at first. A few seconds go by, and then she goes like puts her hand over her mouth.
It does like she puts the tarp down, and then it looks like she has to think for a second, and then has some kind of crazy realization. You would think if the second she opened it, she just saw like skulls and human remains, the reaction would have been more instantaneous.
Well, so that's
I'm still of the opinion of like, it's got to be human bodies. Like, what else would explain it? And even though it feels cliche, it also makes perfect sense that they had 1 billion people die during the joining. It was only a week ago. They collected all the corpses. We saw them collecting them in dairy trucks. So it's got to be what it is. But then why the hesitation and the reaction? I don't know.
Well, that could be what you were saying earlier. Like it's a bunch of parts. It's a bunch of pieces of meat. What is that? Oh my God, it's humans. Like it takes her a second to realize.
Yeah, because it could already be partially processed. Like maybe they've been dismembered and, I don't know, skinned. And the skin has value.
The skin has value? What would they use the skin for?
Nutrition.
Right.
You ever eat chicken skins?
Actually, yes. In Japan.
That stuff is great.
A bowl of just fried chicken skins.
Yeah.
Episode 2, when they talk about not killing animals, I think it was Kumba or somebody asked, so you're a vegetarian? And they answer, that would be our preference. Yeah. Yes. That's their preference. But we got a billion bodies.
Because eating, I don't think it's because they don't want to eat the remains of animals. It's more that they don't want to be engaged in the killing of them.
That's how I see it too. So yeah, our default state is vegetarian, but we're not going to let 1 billion bodies and all of that delicious nutrition go to waste.
Yeah. So you're still hanging your hat on like, at least to an extent, these are human remains.
Yeah,
I don't know what else it could be.
I wanted to call out Daniel. It doesn't feel right now because he's asleep, but he kind of said, it's obviously bodies. They know that we know it's bodies. So the cliffhanger here is not, is it bodies? The cliffhanger is what's she going to do next. But if you go on Reddit and you go on Twitter, I have seen about 750 million posts of being like, I think it's bodies. Here's why I think it's bodies. I've seen none that are like, well, now that it's bodies, what do you think she's going to do next?
I don't know. I guess the question, okay, because we have a lot of mixed feelings about this ending. Only because, like, let's say the whole Soylent Green as people thing was never part of the cultural zeitgeist or anything. Then this would be well, even then, it's a horrifying moment, but it was presented like a cliffhanger. But if it turns out to be bodies, then we'll be saying, why was it a cliffhanger? It was so obvious. But it was presented as a cliffhanger, just in tone and in terms of what they chose to show us.
Because they could have
shown
shown
it has
that
us debating. Now it has us debating something where if it turns out to be the thing we all think it is, then we'll be like, well, it feels kind of cheap because they set us up to debate something that we all kind of knew what the answer was. But the only reason we debated it is because they presented it as if it was worthy of debate.
Like, because they happened to point the camera at her instead of at the thing she was looking at.
Yeah. Now, you could argue, no, it's not really a cliffhanger. It's just the important thing is her. Like, the whole show is all centered around her, down to the most minute little moments. And so what's really important is, like, let's focus on her horror and her reaction, and let's really ham it up with the horrific kind of tones and music in the background. It leans into that kind of cheesy, not in a bad way. I like cheesy horror not B movie, but like that kind of vibe. Mm-hmm. And that's one thing. But it just in terms of the way we've been conditioned, it's like, well, yeah, but it does feel cliffhangery. So is there something we're going to be surprised by, or will it turn out to be exactly what we feel like it will be? In which case, my reaction will be, why'd they have to make it cliffhanger-like then?
So I have a couple thoughts in defense of this. One, the show is having fun with some of those cliches. The show knows that we're watching this and thinking of things like Invasion of the Body Snatchers and any other kind of alien movie we've seen. It knows we're thinking of that stuff. And I think, let's have a little fun with that. Let's do the classic thing. My God.
This would work better if it was like all released at once.
Well, I think it would work better for some people, and I think this particular moment for us might work better.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, you would lose the whole cliffhanger aspect. It's not a cliffhanger. I mean, if you can just hit play in the next episode, you're not hanging off that cliff at all, which is generally how I like to judge a show, because I don't want to judge the show on what is the means by which it was delivered to us. I want to judge it on the story itself. Yeah. But of course, right now we're dealing with the live aspect of we did watch it over a week ago, and we're waiting to see what happens next. But I think it's okay to have fun. Let's do the classic thing. What is it? Reveal next episode, like a classic sci-fi monster serial. It's people. But like everything else on this show, nothing is, you've seen it before, and it might start with that. I've seen that before, but never in this way. That's where I think it'll be different. For example, maybe this is a shocking revelation to Carol. Maybe to everybody else who have asked questions. For example, they've asked, what is it like to be one of the joined? And some people actually liked the pitch and they want to join the Hive at some point. Maybe Carol thinks this is the thing that's going to win the 12 others over to my side. It won't. It might just be Lakshmi's like, yeah, I know the reading people. It would be a waste of resources not to. What's the big deal? Maybe this is, the shock of this is that it's not a shock at all.
It is funny that her son was eating ice cream. It's like another dairy product.
Yeah.
In that shot. That's a little wink, I think.
Yeah. And what will Lakshmi's reaction be to my son's been drinking people? Again, it might be, yeah, I know. It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I am still on that page. Jack's Law 2.0 says, I think the point of the show is that man is the monster. Finally, A sci-fi horror that will take the bold stance that people are the real monsters, not the zombies. People are the real zombies.
Nah, because Vince Gilligan specifically said he's done all these morally ambiguous characters, and he specifically said that, I don't remember word for word, but basically he's stepping out of the like, let me investigate the nature of like evil and like bad protagonists. Like I think Carol's supposed to be the hero, and I think if she thinks humanity is worth saving, then that's almost like de facto the show's opinion as well.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with that. Okay. Yeah, I mean, we already talked like 40 minutes. Our instant take was virtually 90% all about this ending. And even now, we've essentially just reaffirmed our position on the ending.
We've milked it dry.
Yeah, there's nothing left. And in less than 24 hours, we're going to know what it is.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you
2
this.
weeks from now, we're not going to be talking about this anymore.
This is what would really anger me. If they pull a Lost would do this all the time, where it's like, what is that? It's just off camera. You can't see it. All right, well, we're gonna find out next episode. Nope, next episode is a flashback, or next episode is told from somebody else's perspective, and then it's months before you get back to that moment. So if we go to next episode and it's like all from Manusos, his perspective.
Well, this is what you should highlight. H. Rothgar's 5992 said there is no way they give Carol any screen time in episode 6. Gonna have to wait to learn what the cliffhanger is about. That's very possible. The whole next episode could be about Manusis. It could be a flashback. It could be a Lakshmi episode. You never know.
Yeah, my initial reaction is I would hate that, but as always, I'm open to actually seeing it and being convinced otherwise.
Well, like the writers of this show, as well as the others, are very capable of doing things that we hate but love. They make good decisions that frustrate us.
Yes.
That's what's so fun about it.
Let's say you predict for the long haul. This is a chat. Would you say Carol can reverse them all back to normal, or Carol joins in the end?
I had a thought. I wonder what if they reach a compromise where it's like, you know what? The hive mind has some kind of right to exist. Maybe you reverse the whole thing and then give people a choice, like an actual choice. Or you figure out some criteria where, like, you know what, let's say 50% of the population gets to stay as a hive and the other 50% stay as regular people, and we all just kind of coexist, and we have like a really well-functioning society thanks to the enslaved. Or, like it could end in some kind of weird compromise. But I think, look, Carol's the protagonist. The show has so far not given a very pessimistic or hopeless vibe. And her goal is to reverse the whole thing. And so from a like traditional storytelling perspective, unless there's something really big changes, I think the idea is we're going to watch her fix the whole thing. But there's a lot of unpredictable ways it could, not unpredictable, there's a lot of other directions it could go, and it doesn't have to be all or nothing.
Here's how I see it ending. Carol frees everyone, yes. But like a Twilight Zone episode, you get what you want, but there's a monkey paw twist. She frees everyone, and everyone hates her for it. We were happy. We don't want this. And so you're watching...
they already made it pretty clear that a lot of people feel that way.
Yeah. And the episode that you're watching, the series finale, and you're like, man, this is a bummer of an ending. And there's not much time left in the episode, and Carol is going back to... She was getting happier because she's finding a way to fix things, but now she's becoming the old Carol. She's going to be miserable. But then at
the last moment, she unleashes it again.
No. In the last moment, she meets like a little girl or something who's like, thank you for freeing me from the hive. Because you did that, I was able to follow my dream and become an author just like you. It's powerful. Right? Gives it that little kernel of hope. Was it worth it to sacrifice all of humanity's happiness for that little girl to pursue her dream?
Yeah. Well, and I don't know that that's how it'll end exactly, but you are getting to like the core theme, and I love the exploration of the theme of the individual versus the group and the one versus the many, and that's something that like other sci-fi series like Star Trek, for example, like would love delving into as well, and I'm a sucker for that theme, and just in general. And,
For sure,
and
yeah.
look, full disclosure, I'm an absolutist on the side of the individual, so
You fetishize individualism.
yeah, I'm an American. I can't help it.
What if she dies? This is Daniel Fall. What if she dies and you get a new main character next season?
Vince Gilligan loves Ray Seahorn too much for that.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say too.
Carol's going to be the main character through and through.
Yeah, I think if she dies, it wouldn't happen until the
show
finale.
dies.
And I also don't think that'll happen.
Yeah.
Adam does movies. Didn't get the invite back. Understandable. No, the reason it's... Oh, you'll just leave it at that, yeah. No.
Look, have you ever heard of, you have the... Look, I was captain of the varsity bowling team in high school, so I was a bit of a jock. You know, you got the A team and you got the B squad, you know? They both serve their role.
Adam does movies
one
is
isn't
not
better than the other.
Shut up. Adam does movies is not the B squad. This is the problem. We're the A squad. He's the A plus squad. He makes us look bad. Yeah, pretty good. No, Adam, you will be invited back.
Yeah.
Might not be for Pluribus, but you will definitely be invited back on the
it'll be
fire.
for Pluribus.
It might be
He'll come.
for Pluribus.
Can I just jump to one little comment we got at the very beginning from Crippled Bazooka?
Sure.
They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. That was it.
Why?
Oh, is that? No, is that's
I'm just trying to
It's
be
relevant.
very careful.
Yeah.
Daniel and I see
very relevant comment, though.
There was a long stint where Daniel and I were doing a one take podcast. You weren't really part of it. It was just the two of us, and we had a policy of
don't even go near.
No, I wasn't even talk about that. What's the word where you just give the audience pandering? All we did was pander, and I got used to that. I was like, we were like a hive mind. And then you were like Carol thrown into the mix. You just say whatever you want. And then you send
That's
me
true.
and Daniel into convulsions. I don't know how to handle it.
Well, I'm the sacrificial lamb here. Like, people can come after me to protect, and I'm doing that to protect you.
Yeah. A wise man once said that if a lot of people make fun of you, you can't stop it, but you can at least direct it. You wear a funny hat, and all people will talk about is the hat. It was Frankie.
I'm the
from,
funny hat.
Frankie from Red Cow Arcade. He uses a hat. I use an Adam. An individual formerly known as Adam. All right. Adam, do we want to talk about it?
It. Oh yeah. Okay. A little tribute
Yeah.
to. So here look, our episodes don't always come out on time anyway, but you know, we were a little down in the dumps because we lost our best friend, our dog, our family dog that we've had for almost 17 years now. His name is Dexter. We had to say goodbye to him yesterday, and just want to honor his memory. And Gil, you talk a little bit. I'm going to pull up photos.
Yeah, named after. Well, my mom thought he was named after Dexter's Laboratory. We never told her until sometime later that he was named after Dexter, the serial killer. Because we didn't think she would like that.
Turns out she knew. She says she knew about the show at the time.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, it was. Well, I won't. It's a couple of my favorite Dexter memories. Probably my favorite thing that I'm going to miss the most is when we would come home to visit. We would take the train, and my mom would bring Dexter in the car with her. And if you were in the car with Dexter when the train was arriving, his tail would be wagging 1,000,000 miles an hour because his
nose would be rubbing all over the glass on the window, leaving little marks. The marks are still there.
Yeah, if you get in the car now, it looks like somebody was.
I don't want to clean them. You know?
Yeah, finger painting on the window because it's just years of buildup of Dexter's nose pressed against the window because he knew when the train showed up, one of us was walking out of it. He didn't know who, but he knew that one of his brothers was coming to visit. That is one of my favorite things about him. I also remember, Adam, in high school, you had a process where you would come home from school, collapse on the couch, fall asleep immediately, and then Dexter would jump on top of you and also fall asleep. It was like the daily routine.
He would curl up into a ball right on top of my back, and we would just take like a 2-hour nap together. I'm getting the pictures.
Yeah, get those pictures.
I sent them to myself earlier, but they're not showing up in my email.
The other one was so he's you get picked up at the train, and then when you come home, he had a game he always liked to play. When you first saw him, he always played the same game. He would have you follow him all the way up to the top of the house, like the third floor.
The
and
attic,
then he would wait. He would look at you and wait for you to walk toward him, and then he would sprint downstairs. And you'd come back to him, and then he would run back upstairs.
Yeah, he wanted you to chase him.
Yeah, it was like a taunting, like, come at me. And then he would just sprint, and you'd have to chase him.
And he would do that, like, classic, like, bowing pose that a dog does when it wants to play.
Yeah.
Okay, I got the photos. Hold on. Keep talking.
I wasn't a dog person at all. I mean, I wasn't not a dog person. I just had no feelings on the matter one way or another. Until we got Dexter, and then I very quickly came to appreciate just the degree of personality, where I'm like, Dexter is different from my friend's dog. Like, they are their own individual persons. And you start to have that attachment where we kind of, we call him like one of our brothers, but that truly is what it felt like, and it continues to feel like. It feels weird coming home and him not being there. I mean, it's only been a day, but even like earlier today, I walked into the family room where he spent most of the last couple of weeks sleeping in there or hanging out there. And I went in to check on him, and I was like, oh, yeah, I don't have to do that anymore. So it feels very weird at the moment. It helped that he made a friend. I don't want to go into like the gory details toward the end, but one really nice thing, Adam's girlfriend, Claudia, shout out, she brought her dog, Alan, and he became a friend to Dexter, like in his last 24 hours. And Dexter's tail had not wagged for days. The only time it would wag is when he first saw you and hadn't seen you in a while.
Yeah, for a split second, because he was blind at the end and he couldn't see, but he could smell you. And you'd get a bit of a tail wag for a split second,
and then
through all the pain and.
But having Alan there. Every time Dexter smelled Alan, his tail would wag. Throughout
consistently,
the day,
for minutes and minutes at a time, and we hadn't seen that in months.
Yeah, so he basically got to make a new friend who was with us the entire way through,
even up till like literally at the very end. Alan was in the room, and it was that really added like a very nice kind of catharsis to it.
Yeah, and to have Alan still there once Dexter was gone, so like we still had a dog around that got to play with Dexter's things. That was one thing my mom was worried about, is like, we have all this stuff here and it's gonna be really sad that it's just going to waste, but enjoying his treats, his toys.
Oh, and you know what? Till the end, he loved eating, no matter what. He ate yesterday morning. He ate an entire steak. Like half of it, we seared half of it. It was like one of the best steaks I ever cooked. And the other half he got to eat raw. And he ate an entire chicken breast. He ate 2 of his like massive like favorite treats. He ate like 3 times more than I could eat in one sitting, and he was only like 37 pounds.
And he tried
here he is on the screen.
I might want to try. He did a steak and whipped cream. I've never tried that combo.
Yeah, we made him a pup cup.
He chose to try that. Yeah.
So this episode, all past episodes of everything we've ever done, and all future episodes are all dedicated to Dexter.
Yes. He was a member of the podcast in the background, and nobody knew, and he will always.
He
be
did
a member.
appear on one of our New Year's streams. Actually.
That's true. Yeah, a rare appearance by 2 of our brothers, Dexter and our older brother. He actually showed up for a little bit.
Yeah.
Thank you, MJ, for the super chat. Here is the pick. What breed? He was kind of a mix.
He was a rescue, like a mutt from Mississippi. There was a woman who had her whole thing was she would drive all the way down from the Northeast to kill shelters around the South and just load up her car with as many dogs as she could, and then bring them back up to get adopted. So we don't know exactly what he was. I did the genetic test, but the results didn't make any sense to me.
Daniel mixed in some of his own blood.
Yeah, Daniel spat in the vial. But he looked like a yellow lab, but was like half the size of a normal one. Oh, he would love to. If you were a new visitor at the house, you could just sit on the couch, and before he even got to know you, he would just hop up and sit in your lap.
Yeah, I would be jealous sometimes. I'd be like, it was specific friends too, where I'm like, he took such a liking to them immediately.
Yeah.
I was like, I know he likes me, but like, I don't know. He's sitting in their lap quite a long time there.
I had one friend, Will. Dexter was never a humper, but there was the one person he would hump consistently was Will, and I like hanging that over him.
All right. Well, thank you to Dexter for making me a dog person, a pet person. I'm also a cat person now. I was neither of those people before Dexter.
Yeah.
And bringing 17 years of companionship, loyalty, joy. We're going to miss him.
Yeah.
So shout out, the loudest of shout outs that will echo into doggy heaven.
Yes. And if you want to make us feel better, go to the Apple Podcast app and give us some good reviews, because right now it's very polarized. A lot of people like it, but there's a couple of negative Nancy's in there. Dexter would not have liked them.
No. There's misunderstandings usually. Yeah.
No, I don't want to sully this. This is tongue in cheek, but no, it just felt right to kind of. I just want Dexter had a lot of people who loved him and still do. He has a huge fan club, IRL, but it would make me happy if even more people, just around the world, just thought about him for a few moments. So.
Yeah. All right. So tonight in your sleep, if you hear a little someone sniffing,
you get some sniffs. I love the way he would sniff whenever you got home, or Dad would say he's taking a download, like figuring out everywhere you've been for the last months. He would just go,
yeah.
That's a good impression, right?
Yeah, I felt like he was back.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want everyone tonight, think of that sniff. Imagine he's sniffing you.
Yes.
As you go to sleep. Okay.
All right.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
Let's do the sign off.
Should we do the sign off? Okay.
Yeah.
I'll
pretend to be Daniel too.
All right. I'm Gil.
I'm Daniel. I'm Adam.
And this is
Pluribus for the rest of us.